here we are, Bruce, in this shiny new factory. Give me the pitch. What are we seeing here today?
Yeah, so what you're seeing is, first of all, a huge investment. Our shareholders have spent an enormous amount of money in order to change the landscape for aluminium cans in New Zealand. We are a believer that this is the product of the future. I think we've all seen all of the news footage on plastics and some of the dangers on there. And so we're seeing at a customer level the need for more aluminium cans, and we're looking to provide the market with that. When you go out to the factory, you see the very latest in technology. It's 100 million plus of equipment out there. It's incredibly sophisticated. Our partners have done an amazing job of pulling it together. And what that factory now does is give us flexibility. And so that flexibility enables us to move from one can size or printing type to another relatively easily. And when you look and say, why does that matter? Because being able to do that quicker means that it's less expensive for our customers. And so our minimum order quantity that you can order from us is around 30,000, which is far, far lower than the market has seen. And if you're a brewing house or something in New Zealand and you want to do a small run, that means you can do a 30,000 run, put it into the market and make it successful, which is incredibly important for the customers and those businesses.
Yeah. What, in terms of the market here in New Zealand, I know that there's a lot of imports still. So what's the market dynamic going to be like once you're up and running? And who are you really targeting in terms of the customers, the top end of town, or as you say, kind of the innovators, the smaller end?
Yeah, so with the technology out there, we've spent an additional $10 or $15 million on having this flexibility so that we can really target the bottom end of the market. So if you're producing hundreds of millions of cans, then the ability to change over is of less importance to you because you're changing over once every few months. Whereas for small companies, they need to change over all the time. They're doing small runs. And so that equipment that we've invested in is really targeted at the bottom. So it would be a real shame to then use that $10 million worth of equipment and have it sit idle. So we really see ourselves at this bottom end of the market working with small businesses. We're very customer orientated. We come from, Rob and I and others on the board come from a background where the customer is right, where the customer is everything. And you'll see us just in the marketplace really playing that out and trying to develop those small businesses that are the lifeblood of New Zealand and making them into bigger businesses.
And so the factory itself, how do the economics work, and how are you going to sort of ramp up production to get to a point where you're turning a profit?
Yeah, so the first stage that we're in at the moment is we're making a ton of cans out there. It's now to get the equipment as efficient as possible. At full capacity, we're doing about 1,850 cans a minute, so it's going pretty fast. The next phase is then to start bringing in additional shifts. Our aim is probably around April next year to bring in a second shift, and that will enable us then to obviously double capacity. We see that being pretty static for probably a period of time. It's dependent a little bit on how fast customers move from plastic bottles into aluminium cans and really what the market wants insofar as innovation. And so we'll look to support that innovation as best we can and be part of it, and that may see increases in the volume. And then we see probably in the third and fourth year of operation us having the third and fourth shift coming in.
And so that may also see added investment from the investor group that's currently here to bring on different phases of the production?
Yeah, so the next investment is probably not in the additional shifts. That's small, it's labour. The next phase is really we're looking at bottles in New Zealand. So glass bottles overseas are being phased out slowly across the world and being replaced by aluminium bottles, and we're seeing that across in particular Asia and Europe. So we'll be looking at that. We'll also look as to whether there is an opportunity for an additional line to increase our capacity, but again further down the line. And then the other much smaller elements are really around emissions, wastewater, things like that, where we can just constantly look to reduce the amount of waste and planetary harm that we do in order to try to be as efficient as possible. We know it's really efficient now, but there's areas that we can look at that we'll look to improve that will require some small investment.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, on that side, tell me about the raw inputs you've got here. you know, obviously there is aluminium smelted in New Zealand,
Yep.
but you're importing the milled product from China, right?
Yep. So we, like all of the can makers in New Zealand, import the metal. There is no ability to do it in New Zealand. At this stage, the market's too small for that to be viable. We've had an initial look, but depending on how many or how fast, I guess, people come across from plastic bottles to aluminium cans, that might change the picture. And we're working both with some of our shareholders and with others to really look at that as a next phase. We'd love a solution where cans are consumed by New Zealanders, recycled in New Zealand, and then made back into the metal that then goes into the next lot of cans. That might have to be in a series of stages. We'll look at that as well, but that would be just the absolute aim down the path. It's just how fast we can get that delivered is the real question.
Okay. I mean, it sounds like the investor group and the board and Rob are really dedicated to this cause. What has been some of the real challenging parts of getting this up and running?
Yeah, so first of all, this is a big venture, obviously. Just the technology and getting it all together, bringing it in, getting it set up. We've had some challenges out on the factory floor with making sure that the footings are stable enough. That whole process took longer than we'd like. Now that it's there, it's all about making the factory as efficient as possible, and then looking to take this forward in a series of stages. So just each stage with improving, whether it's our factory itself, whether it's then what the market does. But I see the real challenge for us and where this is going is just working with our customers really strongly. We've already seen that when we start working with our customers, we can very quickly produce options for them that make them more efficient. And if they can be more efficient, then more customers will come across to aluminium cans, which is what we want.
And are you feeling like you've obviously been out there talking to potential customers and customers that have come on board? Are you feeling like you've got good coverage of the market here at the moment?
Yeah, we do. We've got good coverage in all of the different can types at the moment. Right now, we've got more cans than we can produce, so that's always a good thing for a business. And as we continue to grow, we've got a whole lot of customers who are coming on board either later this year and into next year. So that's a good position. Our challenge now is to make sure that with that customer group, we just over-deliver for them. You know, we want to be the company who promises and then over-delivers. And so that's really where our focus will be in the next couple of months, making sure that our customers talk about us in high regard with accolades and they're so glad they've come with us. Because in the end, that's how you create a customer-led business. You know, and that's something that we take very seriously and are very strong on, as you see from our board members who will have a background in that kind of approach.
If you've got more orders than you can produce at the moment, is there a temptation to go a bit quicker with your increasing the shifts, or is it really just a set timetable?
No, it's not so much increasing the shifts, it's just us getting more efficient. So as we're bringing on the equipment, we're getting better and faster all the time. Our people out there are learning, so they're improving. So every week our number of cans per day is improving over and over. Yeah. And we're also seeing when we start up, we're doing a lot of training, a lot of practicing, etc. And now we're starting to get into, you know, just running at full noise now, which is what we want. And
so cans per day, what's the eventual mass capacity?
So of the plant, so the theoretical maximum by the time you take cans per minute, then you take out maintenance and things, it's around 500 million cans a year. Yeah.
Wow.
And so, you know, you take one shift, you've got obviously a quarter of that, 4 shifts.